All right. Hi, my name's Abby. I did my project basically redesigning the Rhododendron State Park and Little Monadnock Mountain Trail Map. So why did I choose this project? Mostly because it has a practical outcome. I like that I'm creating a map that I can then use or potentially give to the state park to use if they're interested, and it can be helpful for trail users for a couple years from now. And I like that aspect. Also, I thought it was different than your typical project. Last time I was in a GIS class, I did a project on forest fires in California. Um, and so I thought I'd switch it up and try something with a different approach. And then on top of it all, it just combines a lot of my interests. I would like to pursue a career, hopefully doing something with public interpretation, designing signs. I also have a lot of interest in trails in general. I'm doing my seminar project on it. I did my planning for sustainability project on them, and also just a general interest in design. I almost majored in graphic design, so I've taken a lot of classes, and it's something I enjoy doing. So a bit of background. Rhododendron State Park is a 16-acre grove of rhododendrons. It's the largest in northern New England, and it was designated a natural landmark in 1982. It's really beautiful, and you wouldn't think it would be that surprising, but when you're there, it's like you've never seen so many rhododendron plants in one place. It also has the Little Monadnock Trail, which travels a mile from the rhododendron area and the trails around the rhododendron park to the summit of Little Monadnock, and from there you have a view of Monadnock, and it connects to the M&M Trail, which goes through Massachusetts all the way up through New Hampshire. So the rhododendron plants themselves bloom in spring through midsummer, but the park is open year round. It's just not staffed during the winter. And there might be like an entrance fee during the peak season, but that won't be there for the rest of the year. So basically, this is the current map. As you can see, it kind of has a hand-drawn look to it. I personally, when I see the map, I see that rhododendron area in the top part right here. It looks like it's a street or something with the stone walls. I don't know. I find it very hard to read, and that's someone with a background in maps. So I don't know. I definitely think there's a lot of areas of improvement for this. So basically, my process was that I met with JC because this was originally his idea. He was the one who proposed it to me when we were first discussing project ideas, and got his input. He was really excited about it and wanted to tell me more about the trails. So we set up a time to meet up at Rhododendron State Park. It's in Fitzwilliam, New Hampshire, and we met there and walked the trails. He told me the history and pointed out some interesting things. Kind of talked more about what I should do with this project. And then I went back, and basically JC agreed to send me some GPS data that he already had of the trails, which was super helpful. Um, and then trying to just get it all together. Tons of frustrations, tons of problems. We'll get to that later, but I ended up creating a map, and there's still more work to be done. So basically, this is what I ended up creating. I chose to do an inset map design just to show the Little Monadnock Trail up in this top right part and just give a full view of the whole area. Um, but I did run into a lot of problems, including that almost all the maps had an extra road and all this stuff, and we'll go into more details about that. So basically, first thing was that I began by trying to use JC's data, got it in fine, points to line, but there was a couple of trails that weren't included in that GPS file, and I didn't know how I could find GPS of those trails, and I was in a time crunch. And so basically I ended up searching for alternative data, and that's where I found a New Hampshire State Park Trail shapefile on Granite. And that is what I ended up using for my map. And then another problem I ran into was the US topo layer that I ended up using, because gets to the next problem. All of my base maps had a random road loop that I can't figure out what it was, like in driveway or something. It's like where the trails run. And I couldn't find a base map to use that didn't include that. So finally I went online. I found a US topo map, and it came in an odd file. It was a PITE MX format, and I couldn't get it into my map. So I had to open it in its own map, copy the layer, and then put it into my own map. But then another issue said it only scaled to 9,028, 1 to 9,028. So I couldn't get any closer. It had to be more of a zoomed out, which is another reason why I did the inset map, so that I could create a separate map that showed closer up, which was a whole nother issue because, again, I needed a layer to go underneath it, a base map that didn't have that road loop. And that's where I ended up using a hill shade and just putting a transparent green layer over that in order to give a similar effect. And then the cherry on top, after all this work, somehow I didn't end up exporting my layout right or something, and I don't have it. But thankfully I had taken a screenshot of the page, so I do still have the final. Here's just some pictures of the issues I had along the way. So right there in the middle, you see that road that is not a road, it's forested. I don't know what that is. And it's underneath the trails. And then so to the right, you can see the USGS map that I ended up finding that doesn't have that, but it couldn't scale. So this is a very zoomed in picture. And then all the way on the left, you can see everything I'd done in layout for the final map that I now don't have because layout doesn't save in Arc Pro maps. So like I said, there's a lot more work to do. I hope to continue working on this after. I'm just swamped with schoolwork and I was in a time crunch, and I definitely want to put more time into this and create something I'm really proud of. So that's something I'll probably be pursuing in the future. Also, just huge thanks to JC for giving me the idea and being so excited about it and helpful, and for showing me the trails and everything. So thank you, and thank you, Bream, for being patient with me. That's it.